Welcome to A1 Storyteller, the channel where we bring you the most intense, jaw-dropping, and thought-provoking stories that will leave you speechless. Today, we have a shocking tale that will make your blood boil. But don't worry, karma works fast in this one. Imagine moving into what's supposed to be a peaceful neighborhood, only to find out you've landed right in the middle of an HOA nightmare. But this isn't just about a pushy homeowners association. This is about a cruel, power-hungry woman who thought she could bully, harass, and even physically attack someone just because they were different. In today's story, we meet Emma, a kind and intelligent 16-year-old girl who has been in a wheelchair since birth. But instead of receiving kindness, she finds herself targeted by the HOA's worst nightmare, Karen Dawson. Karen wasn't just strict, she was heartless. She made it her mission to make Emma's life miserable. But when Karen takes things too far, spraying a disabled girl in the face with pepper spray, justice arrives fast. Get ready for a story of cruelty, resilience, and the power of karma. Stay tuned until the end because trust me, you won't want to miss the moment when this entitled HOA bully gets exactly what she deserved. And hey, before we dive in, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We've got even more mind-blowing stories coming your way and you don't want to miss a single one. Now, let's get into it. Lisa had worked years to afford a home in Willow Creek Estates, a neighborhood that was advertised as safe, peaceful, and family-friendly. For her and her daughter Emma, it was supposed to be a fresh start. Emma, at just 16 years old, had already overcome more challenges than most adults. Born with a neuromuscular disorder, she had used a wheelchair her entire life. But that never stopped her from living fully. She was independent, smart, and had the kind of optimism that could brighten even the darkest days. "This is it, Mom," Emma said excitedly as they pulled into their new driveway. "A real home. No more apartments, no more noisy neighbors, just peace." Lisa smiled, feeling an overwhelming sense of pride. "You deserve this, sweetheart." But peace was the last thing they would find. Enter Karen Dawson, the HOA's personal tyrant. Before they could even finish unpacking, a woman with short, spiky blonde hair, oversized sunglasses, and a clipboard strutted up to their driveway. "Hello," she said, in a tone that was anything but friendly. "I'm Karen Dawson, president of the Willow Creek HOA. Just wanted to introduce myself and go over a few of our neighborhood rules." Lisa, still holding a box, smiled politely. "Nice to meet you, Karen. We read the HOA guidelines before moving in." Karen smirked. "Good. Then you know we have strict aesthetic standards. No unnecessary fixtures, no excessive decorations, and no obstructions in common areas." Lisa's stomach twisted. What was this woman getting at? Karen's eyes flickered to Emma's wheelchair ramp, which Lisa had installed at the front door just days before moving in. "That ramp," Karen said, lips curling in distaste, "it's not very aesthetically pleasing. It should be in the back." Lisa's grip tightened around the box in her hands. She couldn't be serious. "That ramp is for my daughter. It stays." Karen shrugged. "Well, just letting you know, the HOA frowns upon modifications that disrupt the community's uniform look." Lisa stared in disbelief. This wasn't a suggestion. This was a thinly veiled threat. She forced a smile. "Thanks for the info. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have unpacking to do." Karen's eyes narrowed. She didn't like being dismissed. That was the moment Lisa knew this woman was going to be a problem. It didn't take long for Karen to escalate her harassment, the obstruction complaint. A week later, Emma was rolling toward their mailbox when Karen appeared out of nowhere. "You can't just leave that thing on the sidewalk," she snapped. Emma blinked. "Excuse me?" Karen folded her arms. "It's a tripping hazard. Other residents shouldn't have to maneuver around it." Emma clenched her jaw. "It's not in anyone's way. I'm just getting the mail." Karen huffed. "Well, the HOA will have to review whether this is allowed. I'll file a complaint." Lisa, who had overheard everything from the porch, stormed down the steps. "Enough. You're harassing my daughter. That wheelchair isn't an obstruction, it's her mobility." Karen smirked. "We'll see what the HOA has to say about that." Lisa filed a complaint of her own. But the HOA board? They sided with Karen. Karen's harassment continued. She sent violation notices for unsightly medical equipment when Emma's wheelchair was left near the porch. She tried to fine Lisa for installing a handrail near their front steps. She even demanded that Emma use the back entrance so her wheelchair wouldn't be visible from the street. But then, things turned violent. The day everything changed, it was a warm Saturday afternoon. Emma was rolling toward the community park, her earbuds in, enjoying the fresh air. Suddenly, Karen stepped in front of her, blocking her path. "Where do you think you're going?" she demanded. Emma sighed. "To the park." Karen sneered. "Not in that thing, it's a safety hazard." Emma's patience snapped. "You don't own the sidewalk, Karen." Karen's face turned red with rage. "Oh, you little brat." Before Emma could react, Karen reached into her purse, pulled out a small canister, and sprayed pepper, sprayed directly at Emma's face. Emma screamed. Her eyes burned. Her skin felt like it was on fire. She gasped, struggling for breath. People nearby rushed over. A man shouted, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Karen smirked. She was being aggressive. I felt threatened. Lisa came running. "What did you do to my daughter?" Emma sobbed. "She pepper sprayed me, Mom." Lisa's face darkened. She pulled out her phone. "Someone call the police now." And that's when Karen knew she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. Emma clawed at her face, her vision blurring as her eyes burned like acid had been poured into them. "It hurts!" she screamed, tears streaming down her cheeks as she gasped for air. The fiery sting of the pepper spray was unbearable. Lisa dropped to her knees beside Emma, her heart shattering as she saw her daughter writhing in pain. "Baby, I'm here!" she cried, pulling Emma close. "Somebody get water now!" A nearby jogger, who had witnessed everything, rushed over, handing Lisa a bottle of water. Lisa quickly poured it over Emma's eyes, her hands trembling with rage. Meanwhile, Karen stood smugly, arms crossed, watching like she had done nothing wrong. "You can't just assault my daughter," Lisa screamed, pointing an accusing finger at Karen. "She's disabled. You attacked a child." Karen rolled her eyes. "Oh, give me a break," she scoffed. She was being rude and I felt threatened. Gasps rippled through the small crowd that had gathered. "Threatened?" shouted a man from the crowd. "She's in a wheelchair. You sprayed a helpless kid." Karen shrugged. She was being aggressive. I had to defend myself. Lisa's hands curled into fists. The anger inside her was boiling over. She wanted to lunge at Karen, but she knew better. Instead, she turned to a woman who had been recording everything on her phone. "Did you get that?" Lisa asked, desperation in her voice. The woman nodded. "Every single second." "I'm sending it to the police right now." Lisa didn't hesitate. She pulled out her phone and dialed 911. Karen's smirk instantly vanished. You don't have to do that," Karen stammered, suddenly realizing the gravity of the situation. Lisa's voice was ice cold. "Oh, I absolutely do." Within minutes, the distant sound of police sirens filled the air. Karen visibly tensed. She had always used the HOA as a shield, bullying people without consequences. But this time she had gone too far. 2 police cars pulled up to the scene, their red and blue lights flashing. Officers hurried out, their faces serious as they took in the scene of chaos. A tall, muscular officer named Sergeant Daniels approached Lisa, who was still kneeling beside Emma, helping her rinse out her eyes. "Ma'am, what happened here?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. Lisa pointed at Karen, her voice shaking with fury. "This monster pepper sprayed my daughter, who's disabled. She was just going to the park and this woman attacked her." Sergeant Daniels' eyes hardened as he turned toward Karen. "Is this true?" he asked, his tone sharp. Karen, suddenly looking nervous, forced a laugh. "Officer, I was just defending myself. That girl was acting hostile toward me." Before the officer could respond, the woman with the phone stepped forward. "Officer, I have everything on video. She sprayed that poor girl for no reason." She handed her phone to Sergeant Daniels, who hit play. Karen watched in horror as the video showed her stepping in front of Emma, blocking her path, and then, without any provocation, pulling out the pepper spray and attacking her. Sergeant Daniels' expression turned ice cold. "You attacked a disabled minor," he said, his voice dangerously low. Karen sputtered. I didn't mean to, it was a mistake." Sergeant Daniels ignored her excuses. "Turn around," he ordered. "Hands behind your back." Karen's eyes widened in horror. "Wait, no. You can't arrest me," she shrieked. "I'm the HOA president." Sergeant Daniels didn't even flinch. "And now you're also under arrest for felony assault on a disabled minor." He grabbed Karen's arms and slammed the handcuffs around her wrists. "You can't do this," Karen screeched as the crowd burst into applause. "This is justice," someone shouted. Karen thrashed, her face turning beet red. "I'm calling my lawyer. I'm calling the HOA. I will have you all removed from this neighborhood." Sergeant Daniels chuckled dryly. "You're going to have plenty of time to make phone calls. From a jail cell." The officers dragged Karen toward the police car. As she was shoved inside, she turned to Lisa and Emma with pure hatred in her eyes. "This isn't over," she hissed. "I'll make sure you regret this," Lisa smirked. For the first time since moving in, she felt safe. "Oh, Karen," she said, shaking her head. "The only one who's going to regret anything is you." The police car's doors slammed shut, and Karen was officially on her way to jail. Karen sat in the cold, gray holding cell, her arms folded tightly against her chest. Her perfectly manicured nails tapped anxiously on her knee. She still couldn't believe she had been arrested. "This is insane," she muttered under her breath. For years, she had ruled the neighborhood with an iron fist through the HOA. People feared her. She had forced families to move out, shut down community events she didn't like, and bullied anyone who dared to stand against her. Yet now, she was the one sitting in a jail cell. Unacceptable. She had called her lawyer immediately, demanding he get her out at any cost. A few hours later, the cell door clanged open. "Karen Davenport," a guard announced, "your bail has been posted. You're free to go. For now." Karen grinned smugly as she strutted out, expecting to see her lawyer waiting. Instead, her HOA vice president, Ellen, stood there, arms crossed, looking furious. Karen frowned. "Where's my lawyer?" Ellen shook her head. "He said he wanted nothing to do with you." Karen's stomach dropped. "What?" Ellen sighed. "Karen, the whole neighborhood saw what you did. There are videos everywhere. The HOA board held an emergency meeting." Karen's heartbeat quickened. "And?" Ellen's next words hit like a punch to the gut. "You're officially removed as HOA president." Karen staggered backward. "What?" "We can't be associated with you. You pepper-sprayed a disabled child. The HOA is done with you." Karen felt the blood drain from her face. She had lost her power, her control, her entire identity, and it was about to get even worse. The next morning she walked into the county courthouse, her heels clicking against the marble floor. Her new lawyer, an overworked cheap attorney who barely made eye contact, stood beside her. Lisa and Emma sat across the aisle, surrounded by their community, neighbors, and even disability rights activists who had shown up in support. A few rows back, reporters whispered excitedly, ready to broadcast the trial of the year. Karen gulped. The judge, a stern-looking black woman named Judge Morrison, entered the courtroom. She adjusted her glasses, then looked directly at Karen. "I've reviewed the evidence," Judge Morrison said, her voice calm but deadly serious. Karen fidgeted. Lisa's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, the prosecution would like to show the video evidence of the assault." Judge Morrison nodded. "Proceed." The courtroom fell silent as the screen lit up, playing the damning footage. Karen's own voice echoed through the room. "You don't belong here." PSSSSSSS. The sound of pepper spray being released. "Hash, hash, hash, hash." "Palm, help me." The gasps in the courtroom were deafening. Karen shrank in her seat, face burning. Judge Morrison's jaw tightened. "Ms. Davenport, do you have anything to say for yourself?" Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. For the first time in her life, she had nothing to say. The courtroom held its breath as Judge Morrison leaned forward, her expression unforgiving. "Ms. Davenport," she said, "you have been charged with felony assault on a disabled minor, and based on the evidence, I see no reason to delay this decision." Karen's lawyer jumped up. "Your Honor, my client is a well-respected member of her community." Judge Morrison cut him off. "Her community is here today to see her punished." The audience nodded in agreement. Karen gritted her teeth. "This isn't fair," she hissed under her breath. Judge Morrison's eyes narrowed. "Fair?" she said coldly. "You didn't care about fairness when you assaulted a child. You didn't care about fairness when you abused your power in the neighborhood." Karen swallowed hard. The judge turned to Emma, who still looked shaken. "I cannot imagine the trauma you've endured, young lady," Judge Morrison said gently. "No child should ever experience this." Lisa wiped away a tear as she held Emma's hand. Judge Morrison looked back at Karen. "You need to understand something. You are not above the law." She grabbed her gavel. "For felony assault on a disabled minor, I sentence you to 18 months in prison." Karen's world collapsed. "No!" she shrieked. "You can't do this to me. I'm Karen Davenport." The judge banged her gavel. "You're a convicted criminal." The courtroom erupted in applause. Karen's lawyer sighed and stepped away from her. It was over. She was dragged out in handcuffs, kicking and screaming. Lisa turned to Emma and kissed her forehead. "It's over, baby. She can't hurt us anymore." The entire courtroom cheered. Justice had been served. 3 months later, Lisa and Emma sat on their porch, watching the sunset. The HOA had elected a new president, someone who actually cared about the neighborhood. Karen's house had been sold, and best of all, Emma was finally able to go to the park without fear. Lisa smiled as Emma laughed, wheeling herself down the sidewalk. Justice had been served. And karma? Karma had done its job. Perfectly. What a story, right? This is why you never mess with people. You never know when karma will strike back. If you loved this, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another powerful story from A1 Storyteller. And tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were Lisa? Let's talk about it below. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and remember, justice always wins.